my name is Jenna. At the start of last year, I indulged a little too much in gourmet meals and ended up gaining about 5 kilograms. Now, at 43, I'm on a mission to lose the weight before the holiday season kicks off. The plan is simple: shed the extra pounds now, so I can enjoy the festive treats without guilt later. With Christmas through New Year's packed with delicious temptations, it seems like a smart approach. I might even allow myself some Valentine's Day chocolates. I can already taste them. Still, like every year, I suspect I'll end up putting a few kilos back on by the end. But today, I want to share a winter story with you, one from when I was 23. Back then, I had been dating my boyfriend, John, for several years, and we were close to getting engaged. It was time for him to meet my parents, a formal step that hinted we were heading toward marriage. My parents instantly took a liking to John, which made the whole process feel smooth and promising. But then, things took an unexpected turn when my older sister, Sandra, came home from work. She's 3 years older than me, and it was obvious from the moment she saw John, she was taken with him. Sisters can read each other well, and it didn't take long for me to realize Sandra had developed a serious crush. At first, I brushed it off, thinking it would pass, but during their introduction, she blushed deeply and clung to his hand for just a moment too long. The dreamy look in her eyes said it all. It felt inappropriate, but I chalked it up to a harmless infatuation and hoped it would fade. I trusted that Sandra wouldn't cross any lines. I was wrong. Later that day, fresh from a shower and wrapped in a towel, Sandra confronted me. She insisted I break off the engagement, claiming John was a womanizer and that I deserved better. When I asked for proof, she had none, just vague warnings based on a woman's intuition. Since she'd never been in a relationship herself, it was hard to take her seriously. I'd known John for years. I trusted him, so I calmly told her I'd be cautious and moved on. After that, John started visiting more often. He said he wanted to build a good relationship with my family, which I appreciated. My parents liked him even more, and I felt confident about our future together. But Sandra made things uncomfortable. According to John, whenever I wasn't around, she acted inappropriately, grabbing his arm, standing too close, and questioning my maturity. She even asked for his number and once staged a fall that conveniently revealed her underwear. Thankfully, John wasn't swayed. He found her behavior more awkward than attractive. Still, it was troubling. Maybe she thought he wouldn't firmly reject her because of family dynamics. After all, she was my sister. Every time they saw each other, she'd chirp a sweet hey, and do her best to charm him. She wasn't just infatuated, she was clearly drawn to him because of his stable job and dependable nature. He has the kind of face I adore, she once said, completely smitten. Through all of this, my parents said nothing. Their silence didn't surprise me. They'd always turned a blind eye to Sandra's behavior. Growing up, Sandra had a habit of messing things up. She once melted a plastic dish in the microwave because she didn't check if it was heat safe. In school, she skipped swim classes with excuses ranging from sore feet to skin problems. Chores weren't her strength either. She wasn't especially attractive, nor was she particularly capable. Yet somehow, drama always seemed to follow her, just like now, with John. As the eldest daughter, Sandra had always received more leniency. My parents often encouraged me to step aside, to let her shine, while I stayed quietly in the background. It never felt fair. I think they saw her as fragile or incapable, and out of pity, gave her more support and attention. Meanwhile, I was efficient, independent, and got things done. Maybe that's why I didn't get as much guidance or praise, because I didn't seem to need it. But that didn't make it any easier. And now, history was repeating itself. For a long time, I downplayed my strengths in public. It had become second nature. But as I grew older and began to value my own accomplishments, especially in academics, I started to resist that role. If I had continued conforming to my family's expectations, I might have ended up shrinking myself, quietly minimizing my potential. My quiet rebellion created a subtle shift in my relationship with my sister. Sandra seemed to sense the change, and perhaps she felt she had lost a constant source of support. Still, our bond wasn't completely broken. We could talk as usual, and I often found myself giving her advice when she needed it. Our family had its quirks. My parents were overly protective of Sandra, and some resentment had built up on her side. But even with the unspoken tensions, I still believed we were a fairly normal family. That belief was tested when John, my fiancé, didn't return my sister's affections. Sandra's frustration reached its peak the night before our wedding. I overheard her venting to our parents, distressed and emotional. "I can't believe my younger sister is getting married before me," she said, voice trembling. "It's just not right." My parents tried to comfort her gently, saying, "Don't worry, Sandra, you'll find the right person soon too." But that wasn't enough for her. "The wedding is tomorrow. Don't you care about me at all?" she cried. "Everyone will see me as the pathetic older sister who got left behind." Standing just outside the room, I listened in silence, stunned. Was it really that important for her to marry first? Had I waited for her, I might have missed out on years of happiness. Then came the blow I didn't expect. After her emotional plea, she made a demand I couldn't believe. "Mom, Dad, don't go to the wedding. Just don't." And somehow, to my disbelief, they agreed. I felt betrayed. It was as if our family revolved around Sandra's emotions and desires, as if she held sway over them like a figurehead of some twisted family cult. This wasn't simple favoritism anymore. It felt like complete surrender to her will. "Fine," she said bitterly. "Let her have a wedding no one in this family even acknowledges." It was painfully obvious, she didn't want me to marry John, and not because she thought he wasn't good for me. She was still in love with him, no matter how misplaced those feelings were. The morning of my wedding was anything but joyful. I barely slept the night before, not from nerves, but from a deep, gnawing anxiety. I couldn't stop replaying the conversation I had overheard, or the smug, victorious expression on my sister's face when she realized our parents had caved to her. At the venue, I had to explain the unthinkable to John and his family. "I'm sorry," I said quietly, trying to hold back tears. "My sister doesn't support the marriage, and my parents decided not to come." The words felt surreal even as I said them. John's parents were shocked. I could see it in their eyes. They couldn't fathom that my own mother and father would choose not to attend their daughter's wedding. The silence that followed was heavy, but then my mother-in-law reached out, gently taking my hand. My father-in-law placed his hand over hers. "You have family here," my mother-in-law said softly. "Don't let their absence ruin your day. Smile, this is your moment." Her words were warm and steady, just what I needed. Tears welled up in my eyes, but before I could fall apart, John came to my side. He stroked my hair gently and whispered, "Marian, I'm here. I'm your family now, so let's not worry about who didn't show up." His presence grounded me. His parents tried to lighten the mood with gentle humor. "Don't cry, sweetheart, you'll ruin your makeup," they said, half laughing, trying to lift the weight from my heart. Then my mother-in-law spoke again, this time with quiet strength. "Marian, I know your family situation hurts, but today is a new beginning. Focus on what you're building now, with John. This is your family." She embraced me, and then John and his father joined in. In that moment, I found the strength to move forward. As painful as the day had started, I made a silent vow to do what she said, to build my own family, and fill it with the love I didn't receive from my own. That day, John and I were married. It wasn't the wedding I had once dreamed of, but it marked the beginning of our life together. 13 years have passed since then. We now have 3 children, a smart, strong-willed daughter who can take on anything, and 2 rowdy boys who keep our home filled with noise and laughter. And in this family we've created, I finally found the warmth and support I had once longed for. Sometimes, I catch myself yelling, "Stop it now," and I'm startled by how much I sound like a strict, no-nonsense mom. Life with John has been steady, his career's taken off. We bought a lovely house, and things have been comfortably quiet, until, one day, 3 unexpected figures showed up at our front door, my mother, father, and sister. I hadn't seen them in 13 years. After our wedding, I distanced myself and never shared our new address, but somehow, they found us, and just appeared uninvited. Naturally, My first words weren't, "It's been so long," but rather, "What do you want?" My sister stepped forward. "I need a favor." My parents added, "It's something only you can help with," their eyes pleading. I was speechless. After more than a decade of silence, what could they possibly want? I stayed quiet, half in shock, half morbidly curious, until my mother dropped the bombshell. "We want you to give John to your sister." John and I both froze. "Wait, what?" I asked, unable to believe what I'd just heard. "You want me to give my husband to her?" My parents averted their eyes, while my sister stood tall, smug as ever. She was 40, unemployed after her company shut down, and still single. Apparently, that made John up for grabs. "It's hard," my father said softly. "We are really worried about your sister's future. No job, no partner. We thought you'd understand. Your sisters, after all." In my mind, I shouted absolutely not, but I stayed silent, waiting to see how deep this madness would go. Then came the real kicker. "She's always loved John," my father continued. "She stayed single because of those feelings. You've had him long enough. Couldn't you let her be with him now, for the rest of her life?" I stared at them, dumbfounded. "What are you even saying?" John was just as speechless, still trying to process it. My sister, however, remained confident, as if she truly believed her ridiculous request would be granted, just like always. John gently pulled me aside. "Remember that joke you made when you were drunk?" he whispered. "It's like that joke is coming true. Maybe we should run with it." That gave me an idea. I turned back to them. "Do you love John that much?" I asked my sister directly. She blinked, caught off guard. "Yes, I've loved him all along." 13 years, I asked. "That's a long time to pine after someone else's husband." "It's been unbearable," she said passionately. "It should have been me." John and I exchanged a look, barely containing our disbelief. "Well then," I said, "if you love him that much, I'll step aside." Everyone froze. "Wait, what?" my mother gasped. "Don't you love John?" "No," I replied flatly. John jumped in, playing along. "Honestly, I've always had feelings for Sandra." My sister's eyes lit up. "I knew it. I knew it all along." The room went quiet as they processed what they thought was happening. John and I watched with quiet amusement. He reached out and hugged me, whispering, "I've waited for this moment," his voice shaking with barely suppressed laughter. I grinned. "Let's just finish this performance. We'll be together forever, no matter what." Then, in full character, John turned to my sister and said warmly, "Sandra, I'm so happy. Let's support each other from now on." "Yes, of course," she beamed. "Oh, and I'm quitting my job." That's when John cranked up the crazy. "Great, I'm quitting too. I want to be with you all day, every day. I won't even go outside. I'll follow you around the house. I'll even join you in the bathroom." The panic on her face was priceless. Our parents looked equally alarmed. "But I'm not working either," my sister stammered. "This might be a problem." "What problem?" John said with exaggerated joy. "Love doesn't need money. We'll live on happiness." But insurance, living expenses, we can't just." I jumped in. "If John and I divorce, I'll be taking half of everything, so get your wallets ready." "Don't worry," John said with a smile. "Your family will cover the costs, right?" My parents looked at each other in horror. "Sandra," my father said hesitantly, This doesn't feel right. Taking your sister's husband like this." My mother nodded. "Exactly, that's crossing a line." I raised an eyebrow. "Yes, mother, it certainly is." The silence that followed was thick with shame and disbelief. The absurdity of it all had finally caught up to them. But where had all their earlier confidence gone? It was as if our parents had suddenly snapped out of a long delusion. "What do you mean?" Sandra cried. "You promised me John." "That was before," my father began. "I don't want to hear it," our mother snapped, cutting him off. "Does no one support me?" Sandra shrieked. Then, in a fit of rage, she grabbed our mother's hair as my father clumsily tried to break up the scuffle. In the chaos, John raised his voice calmly, cutting through the noise like a sharp blade. "Let me be honest, you're not my type," he said, looking directly at my sister. "I respect you as Marianne's sister, but that's all. I'd rather not interact with you at all, especially that upward gaze you always give me. It's off-putting. Knowing someone has unreturned feelings for me makes things uncomfortable." The silence that followed was immediate. My sister's face went blank. Our parents looked stunned. "But John, what about everything you said earlier?" Sandra asked, her voice shaking. "Stop acting so familiar with someone else's husband," I cut in firmly. "There was never a chance. He was never going to fall for you." Sandra stepped toward John, her face pale, eyes wide with disbelief. "We're a family," I said, stepping between them, "and we're happy." She halted, then turned to me with a gasp. "Wait, you tricked me?" "Tricked you," I replied. "Sandra, how could you believe someone who hasn't contacted you in 13 years was secretly in love with you? Isn't that a bit delusional?" Her face flushed deep red, her eyes welled with tears, anger, embarrassment, and rejection all colliding. "If you were truly someone desirable, maybe, but let's be real," I said, not holding back. "You're unemployed, dependent on our parents, and have never taken charge of your own life. You've let mom do everything for you. That's not attractive, it's pitiful." Behind me, John snorted with laughter. He didn't have to say anything, my words had already landed. Sandra broke down in loud, unrestrained sobs, the kind of crying that seemed too immature for a woman her age. Our parents, unsure whether to comfort her or scold her, simply stood frozen, staring at the mess they'd helped create. "I'm not handing over John," I said with finality. "Let this go, Sandra." Her sobbing intensified, uncontrolled and childish. "Take this as your wake-up call," I said quietly, "and from now on, don't get involved in our lives. No matter what happens to you, don't come to us for help." I turned and closed the front door slowly, her cries echoing behind it. Later, when my kids asked what all the commotion was about, I chuckled and said, "It's Halloween season. Looks like a ghost came early." My eldest grinned. "Let's exorcise it." I laughed it off, but truthfully, it did feel like we'd cast out something lingering and toxic. 4 years later. Sandra never married, though she eventually landed a job. Her behavior got her fired not long after. Her desperate attempts to find a husband backfired. She caused so much drama. She was banned from matchmaking events. It seems she may remain single forever. My parents now work part-time jobs in their old age, still saving money for her, as if trying to fix what they broke long ago. Maybe they finally see that depending on her for support in their later years is a hopeless dream. Meanwhile, I've been fortunate. With John's steady career and our kids thriving in school, I've had no need to worry about tuition or stability. My daughter, slim and growing taller each day, recently asked if she should start dieting. "Not yet," I told her with a smile. "You can think about that when you're my age." My 2 sons are passionate about dancing. They've even won awards at a recent event, beaming with pride. They dream of joining BTS one day, and who knows, if the group stays together long enough, maybe they'll get their shot. My in-laws visit often, and they feel like family in the best possible way. We share meals, laughter, and stories. With spring break coming up, we've already started planning a trip to the spot, a chance to unwind together. Looking back at all the hardships before marriage, I can say this: life now is full of joy, with strong bonds, good health, and laughter. I treasure each day and look forward to all the beautiful moments still to come.